Welcome to my new YouTube channel, Scratch Cooking with Ashley, and welcome to my series, Cooking with the Seasons. My goal with this YouTube channel is to share recipes in bite-sized pieces so that even the most intimidated person can feel confident getting in their kitchen. Today we're going to be making sheet pan gnocchi using in-season winter vegetables. So the first step is to gather up all of your ingredients. I'm making a double batch so that we have leftovers. So if you have a big family or you want leftovers, this is how much you're going to need. If not, you can cut it in half. I'll include a link to a typed out recipe in the description below. For this recipe, of course, you're going to need gnocchi, and then we're going to need carrots, Brussels sprouts, delicata squash, an onion. You're also going to need sausage. I chose a chicken apple breakfast sausage, mostly because it was on sale, but you can use really any sausage you want, or you can sub it with a vegan sausage if you don't eat meat. You're also going to need garlic because I can't make anything without using garlic. And then we're going to make a dressing that's going to have Dijon mustard, oil, and vinegar, so make sure you gather those. I'm going to use red wine vinegar today, but if you don't have that, you could sub it with apple cider vinegar or balsamic vinegar or white wine vinegar. Any of those would still be good. You're also going to want to make sure that you have a cutting board and a knife. I recommend using a chef's knife, not like a small paring knife. This is my stoneware baking sheet, and that's what I'm going to use, but you can also use a metal cookie sheet or baking sheet. The other thing you can use is a glass Pyrex dish. Okay, so gather all of your ingredients. I have all of my stuff here, and then my stuff for my sauce is on the counter behind me. Once you have everything that you need, it's time to preheat the oven. So today I'm going to set my oven to 425. Now our oven can preheat while we prepare our vegetables. First things first, you need to wash all of your veggies. I already washed my carrots. I'm going to wash my Brussels sprouts next. So with Brussels sprouts, you can peel off any of the outer leaves that aren't clean or have damage to them or are yellowing. So this is what like a good Brussels sprout looks like on the outside, and then this leaf is turning yellow. So I'm just going to peel that leaf off, and then underneath it's green. And you can just discard this. So since we're using delicata squash, these squash you can actually eat the outside of. We're not going to be peeling them today. Some people think the skin is tough, so you can peel it if you want, but today I'm not going to be peeling it, so you do need to make sure to wash these thoroughly and scrub them really clean so that there's no dirt on them. I recommend getting a big bowl to put all of your chopped veggies in so that you're not running out of space on your cutting board. I'm going to start with chopping the carrots, so first do you want to chop the tops off? And then you can compost these or throw them away. So we want to chop our carrots. We're going to give it about 1 or 2 inches and then cut them. It doesn't have to be exact. If you get to thicker parts of carrots like this, cut it more like 1 inch as opposed to 2 inches so that they all cook for approximately the same amount of time. The thinner parts of the carrot are going to cook faster than the thicker parts, so you just want to make sure that like overall you're making the size relatively the same since we're going to be baking it all at once. I made this thick part much shorter than this thin part so that this is softened at the same time this is softened. If you want, you can peel your carrots, but since I cleaned these really well, I don't feel the need to do that. It kind of just feels like a waste to me. All right, I have all of my carrots chopped, so now I'm going to move on to my Brussels sprouts. So with the Brussels sprouts, I like to cut the end off because it's tough, and then I'm going to just cut them in half. Actually, I'm going to cut the bigger ones in quarters, like this one. This is much bigger than this. I'll show you. Let me cut the bottom off, and then you cut it in half. These are very different sizes, and again, because we want everything to cook at relatively the same speed, these big ones I'm going to cut in quarters by cutting it down again, and then these ones, the small ones, I'm only going to cut in half. And I actually recommend always putting the flat side of something down when you chop so that it's not rolling on you. It's much safer. And then you can just add those in with your carrots. All right, now we got all of our carrots and all of our Brussels sprouts. We're going to move on to the squash. So like I said, this is called delicata squash. You can buy this at most farmers markets. You can buy it at Trader Joe's. I've seen it at Vaughn's. I've seen it at Fry's or Ralph's before. But most likely it's going to be easiest to find at a Trader Joe's. If you live in the Western US, they also sell it at Sprouts. That's where I got this. So we're going to cut the tops off. And this little bottom nub, cut that off. Okay. Then we're going to cut it in half lengthwise. Make sure you put the flat side down. That is safer than trying to cut this. This could roll on you. This is stable. Keep your fingers out of the way and just slice straight down it. Perfect. Now there's seeds on the inside. We're going to scoop these seeds out. So just take your spoon and go ahead and scrape the seeds out. Scraping the seeds out is definitely easier than like removing pumpkin seeds just because this is a much smaller squash. So that's about what to expect. Kind of same process as removing pumpkin seeds. So once you have the seeds scooped out, you want to flip them flat side down, again, so they don't roll and you don't cut yourself. And then we're going to slice them into about, how thick is that? Half an inch? A little thicker than a quarter of an inch, maybe not a full half an inch. That's probably about half an inch. So we're going to slice them into half an inch thick strips. I recommend using a sharper knife than mine is. I need to sharpen mine. And then you can just add that to all of your other veggies. I do want to reassure you that with cooking, things don't have to be perfect. Some of them can be thinner, some of them can be thicker. You're aiming for the same size, but really don't worry, don't stress out if they're not all identical. Last, we're going to do our onion. So when you're cutting an onion, you want to make sure to leave the root side intact and cut off this end. Only cut off the top. So first, cut off the top. Great. Now you have a flat surface to work with. And then you can cut through the root end to cut it in half. Whoop. So now you have 2 onion halves. Go ahead and peel the skin off your onion. If there's any like brown layers like this, peel those off too. You can save this for veggie broth if you want to make veggie broth at home with your veggie scraps for free. That's what I do. Ooh, spicy. So this is my veggie scrap container where I collect veggie scraps. I'm just going to add those skins, the peels, the top all back in there. You can go ahead, if your cutting board's covered in a lot of onion skins and you don't want to get that in your food, go ahead and give it a quick rinse. For this, we're going to cut our onion pieces pretty big, so this is perfect if you don't have experience chopping an onion. What you're going to do is you're going to cut down this way, but you're not going to cut through the root end to keep it intact. So for this, we're cutting them into about 1-inch pieces so you can make pretty big slices. Just don't cut all the way through that root. And then you're going to turn it and then cut about 1 inch in this direction as well. And ta-da! Now you don't have to worry about your onion falling apart on you while you chop. So once you've got all of your veggies chopped, you want to give them a drizzle of oil. We're going to be tossing them to get them coated. And then also add pepper and salt. The truth is, I can't really tell you how much pepper and salt to use because that varies by person. So you'll have to experiment. Then go ahead and give it a toss with your hands. I think I need a bigger bowl. I guess step 1 is make sure you have a big enough bowl. That bowl's hardly any bigger. Alright, but at least now I have space to toss it. And what you want for all of the veggies to be coated with your salt, pepper, and oil. If you toss it and the veggies still look dry, then you need to add a bit more oil. These are looking good. See, you can see that my carrots are, I hope you can see this. You can see that my carrot is shiny. which means it's coated in oil. All of my veggies are like that. If they're still dull, then add a bit more oil and toss it again. Okay, I'm also gonna add a drizzle of red wine vinegar. And a squirt of Dijon mustard. This is honey Dijon, but you can just use normal Dijon or really any mustard you want, but I love Dijon mustard. Now I'm just going to give this another toss to make sure that that vinegar and that mustard are all mixed in. All right, once you have everything mixed in, it should look like this. You can see the mustard in there. You can see the pepper. You can see it's shiny, which means it's all coated in oil. So this is perfect. Next, I'm just going to add this to my baking sheet. You don't want to overcrowd it. I can add a bit more. You don't want to overcrowd your baking sheet. You really mostly want things in like one layer thick. You don't want it super thick or else your veggies aren't going to really caramelize and everything's just going to steam and you're not going to get that delicious roasted in the oven flavor. All right, perfect. So in the same bowl, no need to get another bowl dirty. You're going to add your gnocchi. I have 2 pounds of this Delalo brand, but you don't need to use that brand. I usually buy the Kroger brand. All right. So if I was only making a single batch or I had a bowl big enough, I would mix all the gnocchi and the veggies at the same time. But since I don't have a bowl that big because I'm making a double batch, that's why I did the veggies first and now I'm doing the gnocchi. So again, we're going to do a little drizzle of olive oil. We're going to do some pepper, some salt, mustard, and then a little bit of red wine vinegar. I'll put approximate measurements for this in the PDF that I share in the description box. But really it's about taste. If you tend to like more tart things, you're going to want to add a little bit more vinegar. If you tend to not like tart things, either skip the vinegar or just do a little bit. Same with the mustard. If you don't like mustard, just don't add mustard. Recipes are guidelines for you to follow. This would still be delicious if all you used was olive oil, salt, and pepper. A little more oil because my gnocchi looks a little dry. And then mix that again. And then I'm going to add this to my Pyrex baking dish. Spread it out. This is like the perfect amount. Just like the veggies, you don't want to overcrowd the gnocchi either. All right, now we're done with our bowl, so you can set that aside. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna let those bake in the oven for 15 minutes. While our veggies and our gnocchi are baking in the oven for 15 minutes, we're gonna prepare a sausage. So the sausage I bought today is fully cooked through, so I don't need to worry about it getting cooked. But if you bought a raw sausage or like a bratwurst, a thicker, larger sausage, these are little tiny links you can see. But if you got like a big meaty sausage, you're going to want to slice that into rounds so that it can cook in the oven. If you do want to leave big sausages whole that are uncooked and you don't want to slice them while they're raw, you'd rather slice them once they're cooked, you want to make sure you add those to your veggies right away. You want to add them now so it can cook the full time that everything is in the oven instead of adding it at the end for only the last 10 minutes. With pre-cooked sausage, we're only trying to heat it through. We don't want to dry it out, so it's only going to go in for 10 minutes. Like I said, since these are cooked, there's not really much I have to do to prepare them. I'm just going to open the package so that they're ready to get tossed onto the baking sheet once it's time. If you wanted, even with cooked sausages or small sausages, you could cut them in half into bite-sized pieces. I'm going to leave them whole, but if you want to cut your sausage into bite-sized pieces, do that now. I am using an apple sausage, an apple breakfast sausage. I did mostly buy these because they're on sale, but I also think apple is also a really good flavor that's going to go well with these flavors. So I would recommend getting an apple sausage. But also, get whatever's on sale. If you like spicy sausage, get a spicy sausage. These are chicken, but you could use beef. You could use really anything that you want. You can use vegan sausage. You can skip the sausage altogether. Now is also a great time to clean up your workspace so that once everything comes out of the oven, your dishes are pretty much done except for the sheets that they're baking on. So I'm going to get on that right now. I'm going to do my dishes and clean up, put away all the ingredients that I got out. All right, after your 15 minutes is up, go ahead and pull your veggies out of the oven. You want to give them a toss, a stir. Perfect, and then you can nestle your sausage in with your veggies. So here I have my chicken sausage. So toss your veggies and then just add your sausage in. That's good for me, so I have more sheets. Then you can go ahead and put this back in the oven. You want to repeat the same thing with your gnocchi. Just go ahead and give it a stir so that they're getting flipped over. And then adding your sausage. Perfect. All right, add your baking trays back into the oven for another 10 minutes to heat your sausage through. You know that everything is cooked once you can easily stab through it with a fork. Everything is nice and tender, so you know it's good to go. Add some gnocchi, and then some veggies.
Oops, make a mess.
Yep. And you're good to go. Now is also a good time to taste it to see if you need to add any more seasoning. I think it needs a little bit of salt, a little bit more salt, so I'm just going to add a little sprinkle of salt onto my plate, and then I'll do it on here too. And then also, I feel like it could use a little bit more acid. I like things pretty acidic and tangy, so I'm going to add a little drizzle of red wine vinegar on top. Be careful here because you don't want to accidentally pour the whole bottle out. That's good. And then I'll give that a stir. And then you can taste it again and make sure it's right and you like it. Don't forget to turn your oven off. I always forget. If you do try it, let me know what you think in the comments and let me know what veggies you use. You can use any in-season veggies that you want. I hope you enjoyed this cook-along video. Be sure to subscribe so that you can follow along on the next one too.